Footage just surfaced that defense analysts cannot stop talking about. Humanoid robots moving in perfect formation across training grounds. Automated combat scenarios running in real time. China calls this civilian research. Military experts call it something else entirely. This is not about replacing soldiers. This is about creating something the world has never seen before: hybrid combat units, where machines amplify human capability in ways that rewrite the rules of modern warfare. Alarming footage has been circulating online with increasing frequency. Humanoid robots moving in coordinated formation across training grounds. Automated combat scenarios playing out in controlled environments. Sophisticated platforms navigating urban terrain, debris fields, and obstacle courses with disturbing precision. Officially, these are demonstrations of robotics capabilities and simulations for scientific research. But an increasing number of defense analysts argue that China is entering a new phase: the militarization of AI and humanoid platforms at unprecedented scale. Beijing's official position is straightforward. Humanoid robots are being developed for industry, logistics, rescue operations, and the civilian sector. Public statements emphasize economic benefits, disaster response capabilities, and technological leadership in commercial markets. However, behind the carefully managed narrative, something fundamentally different is unfolding. Chinese military research centers are actively investing in intelligent ground platform projects. These are not science fiction concepts. These are operational programs developing robots capable of functioning within military units, conducting reconnaissance in hostile territory, accompanying soldiers through dangerous zones, and operating in environments where human presence carries unacceptable risk. It is critical to understand what this actually means. This is not about replacing armies with robot soldiers marching in formation like scenes from dystopian cinema. This is about creating hybrid units where machines enhance the capabilities of human fighters in specific high-value scenarios. According to open-source intelligence and industry reports, China has been developing the concept of a smart battlefield for several years. This is a comprehensive system architecture where artificial intelligence analyzes battlefield situations in real time, pulling data from drones, satellites, ground sensors, and network robots simultaneously. Based on integrated data streams, algorithms suggest optimal tactical decisions to human commanders, compressing decision cycles from minutes to seconds. Within this architecture, humanoid robots are viewed as mobile nodes. They function as carriers of advanced sensors, manipulators for handling equipment, or ordnance and communication relay systems that maintain network connectivity in degraded signal environments. These platforms are specifically trained to traverse difficult terrain that slows or stops wheeled vehicles. They operate effectively in conditions of smoke, structural debris, and complex urban environments where situational awareness becomes fragmented. The latest iterations demonstrate navigation through multi-story buildings, stairwell negotiation, and dynamic obstacle avoidance without human guidance. The footage currently spreading under headlines about China's first humanoid army units is, technically speaking, demonstrations of laboratory prototypes and controlled field tests. However, sources within the robotics industry claim that several of these projects receive funding through related defense programs operating under dual-use classification. Formally, they are categorized as technologies for rescue teams, critical facility, security, emergency zone operations, and disaster response scenarios. But the same navigation algorithms, coordination protocols, and autonomous control systems being refined in civilian contexts are directly applicable to military scenarios without fundamental modification. The key breakthrough is not the robots themselves, but the centralized AI control loop that manages them. China is actively developing swarm control systems originally designed for drone fleets and autonomous aerial platforms. This same architectural approach is being scaled to ground robots, creating the foundation for coordinated multi-agent operations. In this paradigm, AI does not command the army or make strategic decisions. Instead, it functions as a super analyst, forecasting tactical risks based on probabilistic modeling, distributing specific tasks between robots and human operators based on capability matching, optimizing logistics chains in real time, and coordinating evacuation procedures under fire. This makes military structures faster, more adaptive, and significantly more resilient to the chaos and uncertainty inherent in combat environments. A separate but equally important development is preparing soldiers to interact effectively with these machines. China is already running large-scale training programs, teaching military personnel to work alongside robotic platforms. This includes direct control interfaces, escort procedures during joint operations, and tactical coordination protocols for human-machine teams. This evolution mirrors how military forces once adopted drones. Initially, they were exotic experimental tools used in narrow circumstances. Within a decade, they became mandatory elements of unit composition across all service branches. The trajectory for humanoid ground platforms appears to be following the same adoption curve, compressed into a shorter timeline. In current operational concepts, humanoid robots are positioned as intelligent partners rather than autonomous replacements. They function as carriers of heavy equipment that would otherwise slow infantry movement. They serve as scouts deployed into dangerous zones ahead of human advance. They act as mobile platforms for sensor packages and communication nodes that extend operational range. The latest models, including advanced versions of platforms like Unitary H2 and G1, demonstrate capabilities including sustained operation in extreme cold dynamic parkour movements for rapid terrain negotiation and cluster coordination, at speeds reaching 4 meters per second. No country officially declares the creation of an army composed of humanoid soldiers. This remains an extremely sensitive topic from perspectives of international law, ethical oversight, and public perception management. But the race for autonomous military systems is demonstrably in full swing, and China positions itself among the clear leaders. Simultaneously, the United States European defense consortiums and other technologically advanced nations are developing parallel programs ranging from autonomous ground platforms to AI-driven battlefield management architectures. The critical difference is that China emphasizes scale and speed of deployment, testing technologies directly in field conditions rather than constraining development to controlled laboratory environments. We are witnessing the beginning of a fundamental transformation, the era of hybrid armies where artificial intelligence and robotic systems become as foundational as armored vehicles or aviation became in the 20th century. This does not mean that autonomous Terminator-style machines will deploy to battlefields tomorrow in the dramatic fashion depicted in popular media. What it does mean is that machines will increasingly assume the most dangerous operational tasks: reconnaissance under direct fire, delivering critical supplies to contested areas, operating in zones of chemical, biological, or radiation contamination, where human exposure creates unacceptable casualties, breaching operations through kill zones that would decimate conventional infantry. This technological shift raises questions societies are unprepared to answer. Are we ready for autonomous systems making life and death decisions? AI-driven military platforms create urgent issues around ethics control and legal responsibility. While governments debate regulations, technology advances faster than any consensus. Future conflicts will be defined not by soldier numbers, but by autonomy levels, algorithm quality, and data processing speed. China is making massive investments in robotics, AI research, and autonomous system infrastructure to capture this advantage. Behind every platform exists a production ecosystem, optimized batteries, real-time processing modules, resilient communication systems, continuous learning software. China builds this as unified industrial capacity, creating compounding advantages where each robot generation carries accumulated improvements. Modern platforms operate in partial autonomy mode, navigating without cloud connectivity when GPS fails or networks degrade. China is not replacing soldiers. China is building systems where machines amplify human capability beyond what purely human forces can match. This is operational capability being refined now while the world debates whether it should exist.